You're listening to the Fan2Fan Podcast, and on this episode, we continue talking about horror movies released in 2025. We're talking about Fear Street, Prom Queen, Megan 2.0, The Monkey, Final Destination, Bloodlines, Bring Her Back, and more. Here we go. Welcome to the Fan2Fan Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Bernie Gonzalez. With me, as always, fellow co-host Pete Charbonneau. We have returning guests, Graham and Jon, and we're continuing our conversation, our tour through 2025 horror movies, a year packed with a bunch of scares, slashers, supernatural thrills, independent movies, big studio horror flicks. And in our previous episode, our first conversation about 2025 horror flicks, we focused on original horror movies. We focused on three specifically: Sinners, Weapons, and Hard Eyes. Three movies that we enjoyed and featured some amazing filmmakers like Ryan Coogler and Zach Krieger that gave us something new, something inventive, something unexpected. And I think it's fair to say, as horror fans, we enjoy that, especially when we get to see creativity on the screen. The horror genre is well known for its creativity, its inventiveness, but there's also something exciting about seeing a new chapter in an existing franchise, in a series that you've already engaged with, that you've already invested some time with. You want to see where the idea evolves, where the characters go, where a new filmmaker might take an existing idea into a different direction. And along with all those original horror hits, 2025 also brought us quite a few sequels in franchises. And I think that's something that we're going to continue to see, right? Hollywood wants to mine IP movies that will put butts in seats because it's harder than ever to get butts in seats.
First of all, remakes in general are popular now because of the amount of money a company has to spend advertising to get people in the theaters. And one way to cut through the clutter of advertising that's out there is to come with a title in recent memory that they've heard of. So, for instance, all the horror remakes, maybe the thinking is maybe you saw it with your brother when you were young on home video, or you've seen it on television, and we're going to update it. So it has a built-in awareness, which is the number that they're trying to reach, to get the audience, the customer out there, aware that your movie is in the theaters.
So we saw Megan 2.0, Black Phone 2, The Monkey, the remake, sequel, reimagining of I Know What You Did Last Summer, Final Destination, Bloodlines, The Wolfman, 28 Years Later.
Coming to you live from Shadyside High. Only 2 days to go until senior prom, and anything could happen.
Gotcha.
Welcome, class of 88, to your senior prom.
Hi.
Hi. If you make a fool of me, this will be the end of you. It's Shadyside. When's it all going to go wrong?
Not sure if you guys saw Fear Street, Prom Queen. I think this is maybe the fourth one in the R.L. Stine Fear Street franchise. I've seen pieces of the other one, and I think it was the camp one because, again, we're all kids of the 80s, and that felt the closest to me to a Friday the 13th movie. It was okay. So when I saw the preview for Prom Queen, Prom Night, Carrie, this should be kind of by the numbers, but it was actually, again, like Hard Eyes, quite surprising, I think, in its gore. And when I think of Fear Street, I didn't grow up with the Fear Street series. Like, I remember Eerie, Indiana and Goosebumps, and they were cool, but they were really more for like my younger brother. So I'm not sure how hard the Fear Street series goes, but Fear Street Prom Queen actually pretty cool and did a really good job of taking slashers to an interesting place where they've been before, which is the prom. Pete, what's your familiarity with the Fear Street franchise?
I know that there's been some Fear Street movies, and apparently that's a book series. Like, so is this like the next age bracket up from Goosebumps? Are we talking like, is this like supposed to be like intermediate horror?
Jon, have you read any Goosebumps or any Fear Street, any of the books?
It's also a step up as far as like, slightly older content. Than Goosebumps. I mean, Goosebumps, to be honest with you, I don't know if anybody here has read a Goosebumps book. During COVID, that was something I was like, let me read one of these. And then I read 15 of them. and I could not believe how like creepy and gross some of them were. Like I was really surprised for the age it was aimed at. I have read a couple of Fear Street books, and they're a little bit more like you might have a slasher. I did start watching the first movie in that trilogy, and I lost interest in that one. And then I started watching the camp one, and I lost interest in that really quickly. So I didn't really even attempt this one.
Graham, have you seen any of the Netflix Fear Street movies?
I believe I've seen all of them. The only one that really stands out to me is that 1994 one where they're in the grocery store and they have that bread slicer kill.
Yep.
That was awesome and not expected, because I think, like we were saying, these are aimed at like a more teen, preteen, young teen demographic.
Who would kill a bread slicer?
What the hell is this? You put me in this plastic Teletubby?
Prove you can be trusted, maybe we'll give you an upgrade.
Mrs. Forrester, we have a problem. We're hunting an autonomous android named Amelia. She was built using your design for Megan.
How is this possible? You deleted it.
Apparently you didn't. Nothing in our arsenal can stop her. She's gone rogue, killing anyone who's contributed to her creation.
I think I did it again.
And you and Katie are next.
I know how to stop Amelia. She's getting more powerful. Soon she'll be the most dangerous weapon on the planet. Put me in a body and I'll help you stop her.
You remember what happened last time. You threatened to rip out my tongue and put me in a wheelchair.
I was upset.
Look, she wants to help us. Everyone deserves a second chance.
You would like us to rebuild a deranged robot in order to catch another one.
Would you prefer I gave you a printout that you can read at your own pace?
Megan.
Well, here, let's go from Prom to Megan 2.0. Graham, you're going to have to start us off with the sequel to the viral dancing doll horror android movie. And this time they kind of step it up where you've got multiple killer robots in Megan 2.0.
Right. So I think the only reason I watched it, I want to say my son was like 9 when the first one came out. And because it was PG-13, I did let him watch it. It was corny. He's like, what'd you think? And I'm like, well, yeah, I get the child's play angle. It's not scary. It made me laugh. That one was okay. But 2.0 is complete dumpster fire. Painful to watch.
We need to go back a week before this because he didn't tell me. And I should have asked the question. So we're at the high school football game a week before. We're having this discussion, and you guys would appreciate this, about the month of October and how important every evening is with your horror pick, because you only have 31 days if you're lucky. A lot of people don't have, that much time. So it's so important what movie you're going to choose. And then a week later, we get the text, I'm watching Megan 2.0, and there's 3 days till Halloween. This is the guy that gives me crap for not liking Halloween 3 every year. But he's like, I am watching Megan 2.0, 3 days to Halloween.
And then I think the next day I watched Freddy vs. Jason. He's like, okay, you're just fucking October. What are you?
Yeah, I'm like, what is going on over your house right now?
Did you need Freddy vs. Jason as like a palate cleanser, Graham? No.
Yeah, I mean, that movie looks like fucking Shawshank of horror compared to Megan 2.0. It is so bad. I mean, so like the turn in 2.0 is, yeah, now she's good. She's everywhere. She's like a program. She's in the Alexa, and they've got to rebuild her, but this time they rebuild her to save her. So it's Terminator 2 Judgment Day, but it sucks so bad.
Pete, you saw this one?
Who's Pete? My name's Steve. I'm in witness protection. Yeah, I mean, I don't, there's not much I can add other than to just be as succinct as possible. I feel like Megan left a 2.0 in the bowl and in my psyche after having watched it. So.
All right. So Blumhouse, make sure to reach out to Pete and Graham when you guys need screeners and reviews for Megan 3.0.
You wouldn't have to remember a wind-up toy monkey.
Everybody dies. And that's life. Watch out.
All right. So there's the monkey, that also came out in 2025. That's based on the short story by Stephen King. You watch the preview, and I think you get a sense that there is a little bit of like Rube Goldbergian type kills, right? Kind of like what the Final Destination series has made a ton of money and a ton of sequels on, where you get this anticipation in how someone may die, and you're kind of watching to see if it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. And that's part of the unsettling piece to this. Pete, you saw this in the theater.
I did. Yeah. I've seen a lot more horror in the theater than I would originally thought that we're going through the movies. I'm like, oh yeah, I saw that too. I call this kind of like Sam Raimi light. Like it wants to be kind of Evil Dead-ish at points and go like kind of gonzo. And it does, but it still feels like it's held back a little bit. There's like one great scene with the woman and the diving board that got a really good laugh out of me. A lot of stuff played for laughs, but it's essentially there's this toy monkey. It's kind of like what you would see. It's
with
like
the cymbals
and bangs the drums. Once you wind it up, like it basically it's cursed. And
so it will kill someone, but it won't kill who turned it.
People start to use it, that like, oh, this thing's got a certain power and you can't get rid of it. Like
it was one of
those things like, we're chucking out the window, we're going to burn it, we're going to do this and that. And then it just kind of shows up in the closet the next day, first by accident. And then people are like, oh, well, if I turn this is going to kill someone. Like, maybe I could use this to my advantage. So yeah, it gets haywire. It gets crazy. I don't know, Graham, did you think the end kind of just happened all of a sudden on me. I'm like, I feel like we got another like 10 or 15 minutes to go here. And I'm like, oh no, that's it. Okay.
The deaths were really fun. If you grade this just on deaths, you'll like this movie. It feels like a Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, just like, when they get the Krusty doll and it just keeps coming back. Yeah, you can't get rid of it.
Well, what I wanted to do is I wanted to sort of express what Stephen King means to me, right? More than holding the book open with one hand and typing with the other and doing some kind of straight adaptation, which I don't think he expected. He certainly didn't ask for it. I think he's a much bigger mind than that. So I think he sort of tacitly welcomed the idea that I would fill this thing out with a personality that was my own, but the intention was always to do it with reverence for him because he's the greatest, right? So it's not like I can't ignore that. In fact, not only can I not ignore it, but I want to highlight it. So the idea was to try to create something that was fun, because I've always found Stephen King's writing to be really humorous, really sort of sly and sophisticated. And so I thought it could be so much more than just a haunted or freaky toy movie, that it could actually resonate about families and about parenthood and sort of the melancholy of living, which to me permeates all of Stephen King's stuff. And so, it became the guiding force, and, he likes it. So all is well.
I didn't know it, but I eventually realized it's Anthony Perkins' son making this movie, who's from Psycho. So, and he also did Longlegs.
He was in Psycho 4, I think, when he plays young Norman Bates as well. Quite a pedigree in the world of horror.
I held him off for years.
Charlie, get up here.
He's a relentless son of a bitch. Won't stop till he finishes the job. Death is coming for our family.
I said, oh, 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 oh.
With Grandma. Death is coming for us because we were never supposed to exist.
Only by embracing death will it pass you by.
Maybe death's not actually coming for our family. Because that would be crazy.
Good luck.
So let's go to another movie that has to do with death. Final Destination, Bloodlines. Graham, you saw this one as well because you just like to see a bunch of murder?
Yeah, I think I threw it on because it was on HBO. I've only seen 1 and 2 like I think when I was a teenager, I remember seeing them at like the Dollar Theater.
How were you able to follow the plot jumping from 1 to
Right.
part 8?
I think death comes when you dodge it. So it seemed to make sense. I was laughing and having a good time with the deaths in Bloodlines.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I may have seen one of the previous ones. I couldn't tell you which one it was. It wasn't the first one. It was probably the second or third, I guess, maybe. But I heard such good things about this, and I was like, all right, to quote the inimitable American icon hero Tom Atkins, thrill me. And it was enjoyable. It was definitely enjoyable. Like Graham said, it's no more, no less. I'm sure there'll be another one now, but there was some fun set pieces with it. They were clearly having fun with the whole mythos of the series and just in general. So I give them credit for that.
We're going to put you with a foster mum called Laura. You're going to love her.
Oh, welcome to your new home.
This is my daughter's room. I want to show you something else. This way.
He's stuffed.
I know I'm a weirdo.
How did you cope with Kathy being gone?
I didn't.
I think there's something wrong with Laura.
Oh my God, what is it? We can bring her back.
What are you doing?
He's gonna bring her back.
I'm supposed to report how safe and reliable you are. So stay safe. Stay reliable, yeah?
Bring Her Back, I thought was an extremely well-made movie. I am not a big fan of trauma horror, and I feel like A24 does trauma horror very well, and they've made almost a living on, many of their films. I like silly, over-the-top horror, and this is like so deep. There's some really deep trauma that multiple characters have in this movie, not just one. It's everyone in it has massive trauma. So it's like very depressing in many ways. So you don't really know what you're rooting for. But at the end of the day, it is creepy. It is very well done. And I don't talk about sound design a lot in films, but this one, I feel like if I had seen it in a theater, probably would have really kind of unnerved me with the sound design.
It's awesome, but then there's something that ruins it for me at the end, because it's like the whole Batman versus Superman where he's like, Martha, your mom's Martha too, and they let's be best friends over Martha. There's something like that. And I'm like, damn it, why'd you have to do that?
I've not seen it. So,
how did you like it though? I mean, how'd you like it?
The only M that I'm here for is Megan.
Auntie, what's going on? Jimmy, sit still, keep quiet, and do not move from this spot.
Seven, 6, 11, 5, 9 and 20 miles today, 4, 11, 17, 32 the day before. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Don't look at what's in front of you. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. Men go mad with watching them. There's no discharge in the war. 7, 6, 11.
The last one of the big horror movies for 2025 that we'll talk about, 28 years later, sequel to really one of the movies from the early aughts, like the Dawn of the Dead remake from Zack Snyder that really put zombies kind of back on the map. That
28 Days predates Dawn. 28 Days was 2002, and then 2004 for Dawn of the Dead. Because I like to give props where they belong, and it's really Danny Boyle that made zombies fast the first time ever.
It has a lo-fi quality to it that actually benefits the grittiness of the movie. in some ways,
guerrilla filmmaking at its finest.
That's a great point.
I mean, the whole look of that movie to make London look like it's completely abandoned is outstanding.
The pandemicness of it all, before we knew what a pandemic was, contagions, a zombie apocalypse, all of that really made 28 Days a standout. So when they announced 28 weeks later, I was happy to see it. I don't know that I was happy with the outcome of the movie.
Same.
It felt like a glossy version of what 28 Days was. And that's why 28 Days Later was so memorable, because it wasn't glossy. So when I saw that Danny Boyle was coming back for 28 years later, well, at least this should be in good hands.
Danny Boyle name alone, I felt comfortable because I think he did produce 28 Weeks. He had something to do with it, but he wasn't the driver of it. 28 years. John and I saw this in the theater. We were pretty blown away. More of a highbrow thinking man's horror movie. Just really love the approach of trying to humanize the rage virus victims with the whole memento mori. I gotta bring in Depeche Mode. We're all Depeche Mode fans. When they first mentioned that, I was like, what, are they reviewing the most recent Depeche Mode album? But no, it's really to flip it and look at it from the perspective of evolution. You know, is there something more to the rage virus? Can we get along with these uncivilized victims? It was completely different. I think they swung for the fences on it and they hit it. And you get that feel. You're like, this is a really dramatic, thought-provoking movie. And then for the last 30 seconds, it goes just... It does a completely 180. I remember just kind of sitting there like, what the hell did I just watch? This movie is ruined. But, you know, as I thought about it more, I'm like, okay, that was pretty perfect. This is the complete opposite of what we just sat through this entire movie. And now the next one, they shot them back to back. So I think it's going to be called 28 Days Later, 28 Years Bone Temple. And it's going to explore more of that sinister man versus man quality that usually is the underlying theme of a zombie movie, you know, going to bring it back full circle.
John, go for it. You were in the theater right there with Graham watching this.
This movie was fantastic. It wrecked me. This movie to me was so much about what it means to be human, and which is so interesting, right? Because that's like the whole premise of the zombie is like they are alive, but they've lost their soul. They've lost this human aspect to them. And this one really brought me back to like the origination of a lot of these films. Like, what does it mean to be human? And where through war or disgusting or difficult times, we're still doing rituals and paying our respects. We have a connection to people. It's not traditional horror. It's not even necessarily traditional zombie movie, but it just delivered on something that I wasn't expecting.
The civilization, you know, ostracizes Ray Fiennes' character. They think he's nuts because he is showing compassion to the rage virus victims, you know, and they're, oh, no, we're not going to his fire. That guy's off his rocker.
Pete, you saw this in the theater.
Oh, yeah. Like you guys have said, I'm a huge Danny Boyle fan. Bringing Alex Garland back to write the screenplay for this was huge too. That's what got a lot of people hyped about this one. There's just something about like there are a certain number of directors that you just know they have a style of their own. Danny Boyle is just one of them. I'm not the only one, but I've been noticing for a long time like his use of the color yellow in a lot of his films. And that comes through in the one scene where Jodie Comer and her son are walking through that field of flowers where the not Cillian Murphy pops up that everyone thought was going to be Cillian Murphy as one of the rage zombies, but just because it looked slightly like him, but is not. So that was like, I'm like, all right, Danny Boyle's doing Danny Boyle things here again. And yeah, I mean, I was taken with Ray Fiennes' character as well, because I feel like flipping it on the human side of things, yes, he's ostracized and everyone thinks that he's crazy, but like pretty much everyone in civilization is at this point. Like, you know, even the ones that are just trying to, you know, survive on that island and trying to keep things as, you know, as simple as possible. Even there, like there's, you know, you can't, like I can't remember the young boy actor's name, but I mean, he has to carry this film for huge portions of it. And like, you know, he's with, you know, his dad and his mom like is forced to kind of grow up way too early, and he's like, oh, I'm just going to go off and adventure myself. But Ralph Fiennes like is, it's like, what are you going to do with the time left afforded to you? And he kind of realizes that civilization's not coming back, certainly not in his lifetime. And so what are you going to make of the time that you've got left on this planet? And, he's decided to make a giant temple of human skulls to honor the people that have come before.
Nia LaCosta, that's doing the Bone Temple.
Yeah, I think he's done something interesting with that bonkers ending. But I think what he has done is almost like reset the palette for Nia DaCosta to be like, you don't have to make the same tone, same style movie. I just completely shifted tones like 180 degrees in the last 3 minutes. You can keep that and go with it, or you can make it your own. But here's almost like cleanse palette.
I heard stories about a monster that lurked in the underbelly of the ferry. After 90 years, he's actually out in the public. Steamboat Willie.
It's the happiest place on earth.
I'm going to assume that even though we had some great horror this year, you guys did not find the time to watch all of the Disney ripoffs after Steamboat Willie went into public domain, because 2025 also gave us Mouseboat Massacre, Screamboat, and because it wasn't just Mickey, it was also Popeye. There was Popeye the Slayer Man, and because Disney is just a bountiful IP place to rip off in the to-be thumbnail world, there was also Bambi the Reckoning, Pinocchio Unstrung, and Pinocchio's Revenge. But if none of you guys saw any of those, I bet you guys saw some other good horror movies that were released this year, or maybe they were just new to you this year. John?
I really enjoyed watching the movie Cuckoo. I think Graham and I saw the preview for this when we were in the theater, and I was like, it's hard to tell. And it was marketed again as like straight horror without really showing you much. And I'm kind of going against what I talked about before as far as like trauma and drama type horror movies. But one thing I need to mention is I love horror movies that take place in real desolate spaces. It's just that kind of claustrophobic feel. No place to go. Every decision is huge.
Yeah, I'll watch anything with Dan Stevens after seeing The Guest.
100%. Absolutely. Yep. Pete, you want to throw one out?
I'll throw out one that I just probably going to put it up there as like one of the most solid B movies that I've seen in quite a long time, and that is Dangerous Animals with Jay Courtney turning heel as a bad guy.
Oh my God, I can't believe I let you talk me into this.
It's been a great experience.
Yeah.
All right. All right, crew. There's still one thing we need to take care of. I promise you it'll help. Close your eyes. Take a big, deep inhale. And out. And in. And out. Welcome aboard. Oh, come on. Don't be like that. This is your time to shine.
This movie just knows what it is, and you're not going to get a ton of surprises, but it's really well made. It's really well acted. It's like very concise. It's compact. It's a lot of fun. The poster is great from a designer standpoint. It's like the wake of the boat is like red, but it looks like a shark's fin. Sharks featured prominently in this one because there's a sadistic guy who runs a charter boat that lures young people in and then feeds them to sharks and videotapes it. There's not a ton of twists and turns, but there's a cat and mouse game being played between him and one of the women that he captures, who's badass, living on her own, surfer woman that's like, not going to take any shit. And so, she fights back, and it's, will she get away? Will she not? It's a blast. I highly recommend it. Bernie, throw one out.
One that I'll throw out that I really, 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 really enjoyed was Good Boy.
No spoilers on that, Bernie.
It is so good. I will try not to spoil this for you guys that have not seen it, but the elevator pitch, it's a horror movie told from a dog's perspective. And the director's dog that is featured in the movie, and his name is Indy. And you obviously know that he is aware of who his audience is because there is no mystery. The dog does not get hurt. And he's made that very clear because I think he is aware and sensitive to an audience that would not want to see a movie that's about a dog.
Where I said I don't want to watch it if the dog gets hurt.
100%. So it's like they took that right out of the gate and said, no, dog's perfectly fine. But what the movie does so well is creating really good drama in the dog's reactions, in what the human, the dog's owner, is doing that is kind of leading into this journey into horror. And it does a lot of good things in putting the dog in angles, in positions, in composition. So just like from like a director standpoint, I really appreciated it because you're basically watching, for a good part of the movie, a silent film. So it really leans on the visuals. Again, the dog's not going to get hurt, but they do a good job. It was well done. I want the dog to get all of his flowers and biscuits and everything because he did a terrific job.
What about Disney's follow-up, 28 Dogs Later? They're going to do the animated version.